Whenever I send out the agenda for these sessions, I always say 5 minutes, welcome. No, we do 2 minutes and then we just get started because there's just so much to talk about, especially when it comes to protecting our energy. I have to say, this is a topic that whenever I mention it, it tends to get a lot of like clicks, opens, things go viral. So clearly there is a desperate need for this. And I think you'll notice my style if you've come before. I'm a good mix of woo, but also really practical, very tangible. I'm always about what can we do? Okay. Not just like mindset shifts, but how do we take action on those mindset shifts. So let me introduce myself, give a little bit of background on what these Sunday sessions are throughout January, and then we'll dive right into the topic. I'm the founder of Ladies Get Paid, which is a podcast. It's a coaching practice. It's also a newsletter all about helping you just increase your worth inside and out. And I have a new newsletter called Really Good Work Advice. That's really good work advice. And it's a weekly digest of a critical skill that you need to build a better work life. But instead of coming to like tons of educational courses and videos and things that you're just not watching, trust me, I know because I can see that nobody's watching video courses when I was releasing them. It's better just to have a less than 10-minute digest every week to make sure that you are continually growing towards the goals that you actually want. Okay. Not someone else's goals, your goals. And so come and connect with me. Yeah. And the reason I feel very confident giving all of this guidance is, first of all, I've been in the space, in the sort of professional development space for over 15 years. More recently, though, I was going across the country pre-COVID, hosting town halls for women to talk about work and money. We have now over 55,000 people, by the way, as part of the Ladies Get Paid subscription. And I've taught at major companies, major universities. I joke it's all places I would have never been accepted to myself, including NASA and Harvard Business School. And let me tell you, we have way more in common than we do different. Okay. Whatever you're struggling with, there is inevitably many other people who feel the same. And this was an email that I got more recently that really resonated with me personally and triggered a sort of shift of what I'm going to be focusing on, at least for the next year, and why I'm doing these sessions here for you all. This is the email. I feel so lost after being so driven and focused. And now I'm just having a hard time finding my way back to that. And honestly, I'm not sure I want to. So, yeah, jump in the chat. Let me know if that resonates with you. Sure did for me. It made me think in the way that she was saying, I'm not sure I want to go back to being so driven and focused. I think what she was looking for, at least what I'm looking for, it's a new way to define success. And more importantly, a new way to get success. I want success without self-sacrifice. Okay. And for me, that means I have to figure out how I can make ambition easier. Okay? And that's what I'm dedicating myself to for you all. These Sunday sessions, they're 4 sessions. So we are the 3rd session today. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Nisa goes, I agree. I left my last job due to burnout and being underappreciated. Right. It doesn't, listen, you could have your dream scenario on paper, but in reality, if it requires too much of you, it's not worth it. Or is it? It's just a different way of, we just have to find a third way. You'll hear me talk about that a lot. We've got to find a third way. So I think there are 4 foundational skills that if we can really build them for ourselves, we are building a work life that works for us. And those to me are learning how to set better goals, which was the first session. By the way, there's recordings for all of this. And if you have registered just once, you get access to everything. Setting better goals, learning how to get out of our own way. Today is protecting our energy. And then the last one is transforming challenges into opportunities. And last time, just a quick recap, getting out of your own way. We were talking about things like self-doubt and procrastination and perfectionism and just the obstacles that we run into constantly that turns out it's not from anyone else. It's really ourselves, although of course it can be triggered from somebody else. And we have a really hard time figuring out what to do with them. And I gave you 5 steps: cultivating compassion, practicing presence, carrying it later, energizing from within, and strengthening your connection to others so that we can learn to actually love all of our parts equally. Meaning, yes, we have to learn to love our procrastination in order for our procrastination to cease bothering us. The whole thing. I really encourage you to watch that recording if you haven't yet. All right, so now on to the reason you are here today, protecting your energy. So I have so I ask for testimonials often. That's something you'll all get if you enjoyed this. I'll ask you to submit a testimonial. And I've received over 350 over the past 8 or so years. And there is one thing that consistently I hear over and over again, and it is about my energy. So I highlighted a few here, right? Your energy was out of this world, or even things like there was powerful energy of the female collective, right? They came to a Ladies Get Paid event and they noticed there's some kind of special energy, contagious energy, infectious energy. Oh gosh, these two words resonate a little bit differently now that we've had a pandemic. But point being, everybody keeps saying I have this great energy. And it really made me think, what is good energy? Like I always took it for granted, as many of us do, by the way, things that naturally come to us, we totally disregard it. And we oftentimes don't even monetize it. That's a whole other story. And that's been me. I just take for granted that I have good energy. But I've put a lot of thought into, well, A, how do we define good energy? B, okay, how can we have it? And C, most importantly, how do we sustain it? How do we protect it? All right. First of all, it isn't something that you can have, even though we say in our language, we go, you have good energy. It's not something you can have or own. It's really a thing that you cultivate. And second, you must protect it with your life because it is your life. And anybody who has either suffered from chronic illness, been around somebody who has a chronic illness, or in my case, been pregnant with twins, you really know how precious our energy is. So, this is how I define it. I'm really curious. In the chat, take advantage of the fact that those of us who are here live, how do you define good energy? I think it's a genuine delight in being alive. So I'm not talking about how does the energy get manifested, but what does it mean when we say this person has good energy? Genuine delight in being alive. And I don't think that it is a passive thing. I also don't think that it is a positive mindset. Okay. It is a mindset in motion. Don't worry, I'm going to get very clear and specific with you all here. If I had to boil it down, genuine delight in being alive, I think it is being curious. Okay, curious about people, curious about how things work, right? Why things are the way they are, and then taking that next step of following those curiosities. That's where it is not just a mindset, but a mindset in motion. Now, of course, you say to me, Claire, I'm too busy, I'm too tired. Don't tell me to be curious about life and people. I can't even get somebody said, I can't get my shit together. And I was like, girl, me too. I know. This is how we do it. And by the way, this is coming from somebody who, yes, has, quote, good energy, but has also experienced massive burnout. Like I said, been massively pregnant with twins. So I truly know what it's like to not be feeling the good energy, even though I know I, quote, have it. We have to focus on stopping energy leakage or leeches. I'll give you more info in just a second before anything else. So if you're thinking to yourself, I need to take a vacation, I need to something like big and grand. No, there are so many things that we can do right now that will help us get back energy that we are currently giving the F away. We're really giving our energy away because we're not even aware of it. And I'm going to help you get aware of it today. After all, you cannot build a house on quicksand. That is what we are trying to do here. We're building a life, we're building a work life. That to me is like a house, brick by brick. What's the foundation of it? If the foundation is quicksand or really crappy, we're just never going to be able to get where we want to go in the way that we want to do it. So today's overview, I'm going to give you 19 energy leeches in a typical day. So 19 ways. I'm going to literally walk you through from like the minute you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night, ways in which I have at least experienced energy leeches. Then we're going to talk about how to protect against / recover from them. And then 3 critical skills to build what I call your energy force field. And that will take me into transition into our final session, which is next Sunday. All right, so what are these 19 energy leeches in a typical day? As I show you this slide, I'm going to read through it, but I'd love for you all to jump in the chat and tell me which ones are resonating most with you, which ones you also feel you experience. Okay, so let's start over here. You wake up at 2:13 a.m. every single day. By the way, this is me, or has been me. And you're pissed at yourself because you just, first of all, you start scrolling on your phone. You're like, why am I up again? I can't believe I'm up again at 2:13 in the morning. Oh, I have to go to sleep. Then you hit your alarm in the morning and you're like, oh crap, I'm late. And then you're just like rushing through your morning. Okay. Then you jump in your car, or maybe you're in New York and you get on the subway and there's traffic, or it's the subway in New York, so it doesn't work. I lived in New York for a decade, I can say that. And you're just so frustrated. You're like, God, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. I'm not seeing anybody in the chat, but I know there are some of you here who are like, yes, this is my morning every morning. Okay. Then you get to work, or maybe you're checking your phone and it is just an overflowing inbox. You're like, oh no, I have so many things. I have like, my inbox is so scary. And you notice, oh no, there's one email from a client and it sends you into absolute panic mode. Okay. But you get called into a meeting. So you have to go into this meeting. And as you're sitting there, you're feeling, oh no, I'm getting anxiety just listening to this. Good news, Chelsea, I've got you. I'm going to give you for each one of these leeches, I'm going to give you a new way to do it. Okay. So just hear me out. All right. And then you're in this meeting and let's just say it's a bunch of, I don't know, like toxic, it's a bunch of bros or something. But you feel like you can't get a word in edgewise, and you're starting to feel some imposter syndrome, some self-doubt. And then you have to go to another meeting. Oh, and then you have another call and it is back to back. And you have 2 seconds or 3 minutes in between, and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go on TikTok because I guess it's back now. All right. And then you're sitting trying to finally focus at your desk. And your colleague comes over and asks you to do something, and you say yes, but you immediately regret it. So you're like helping this person. And then your boss calls you into his office or whatever he calls you, and he's, oh, remember that meeting we had and that idea and that thing that we were working on? Okay, now I have a totally different idea. Oh gosh, he does this again. And now you're scrambling. And then as you're scrambling to figure out what your boss needs you to do, you get a call. Oh, it's your son's school. And they say, oh, he's sick or something. You have to come pick him up early. It has now completely thrown a wrench in your day. Great. All the things you had to get done, you can't do. And you're pissed about this. You get to the school, because of course your husband doesn't go pick him up. It's you. That's not me because I have a wife. Ditched my husband for my wife. That's not what I'm going to suggest you all do, but it does help things. You get to school and there's this other mom there who just guilt trips you about not volunteering. What the hell? Ugh, but whatever. She's annoying and you have to hear her. Speaking of annoying moms, you get into the car and then your mother calls you and she's like droning on about some grievance with so and so in the family. Sorry, my mom's in the other room. By the way, guys, if it's not your mom calling you, it's somebody who's like bitching about somebody else. Okay. And you're like, all right, I'm listening to this. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, mom. Okay. You get home. You do not have the energy to cook. So you're just going to grab whatever food you can find, which of course it's going to be pasta again. And so what if everybody wants to eat Girl Scout cookies first before, because that's what I just ate before the pasta. And your partner comes home and you just snap at them and you just like bitch at them. And then you realize your shoulders have just been up to your ears all day. God, like how long have you been walking around with your looking like you have no neck? You're also massively thirsty. What is that? Yeah, maybe you should drink some more water. Like, speaking of drinking water, I really should be treating my body better. I didn't have time to work out today, but I swear tomorrow I'm going to do 60 minutes of Pilates. All right. You get into bed and then okay. Then you get into bed and it's been a long day. Fuck it. You start scrolling on social media again. You're like, why am I following these accounts? Like, they make me feel like shit, right? And you're feeling envious of these people with these perfect lives. You pass out, but inevitably you're up at 2:13 in the morning again. This time you're replaying your conversation with your boss. All right, now that we've worked ourselves into a tizzy here, what are some common themes that you've noticed? Didn't mean to throw a quiz at you all, but tell me in the chat, what are you seeing besides the fact that there's obviously a lot of social media happening here? Like, what are some of the underlying core themes when it comes to how we're giving our energy away? How are we wasting energy? Yes, Elisa. Okay. Other people have control of your emotions and time. Excellent. Really good. Reactive, 1000%. Yes, we've got it. I'll give the answers to in just a minute. But if there's any other ones here, also I may be missing, yeah, replaying talks, totally. I may be missing, oh, Victoria, no worries. There's a little quiz that you all. So these are energy leeches that we experience throughout the day. Very common. I'm sure I'm missing some. I did my best through 19 of these. There's probably variations on these that I'm missing. Let me know if you're experiencing energy leakage that you're not seeing here on this slide, and we can talk about it. And let me tell you what some of the common themes are. And these are energy red flags that I want you to start really paying attention to throughout your day. By the way, you're not going to fix them you will fix them because I'm going to give you exactly how to fix them, but it's not going to happen quickly. The best thing you can do, guys, is pay attention to when they're happening. So don't say, oh, okay, I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to fix it. No, it's too much right now. We're just going to observe when these energy red flags are starting to happen, okay, throughout our day. So the first one here is judgment. We are making a lot of judgments, a lot of stories about what is happening. So it is either what is happening in the situation itself, like we're resisting it, like we're really pissed that it's happening. That is a judgment. That's an opinion. You are pissed something is happening. Another person might go through that experience and be like, whatever, it is what it is. So that is a judgment. You're also judging yourself and you're judging other people. This is taking energy away from you, precious energy. You are focusing on things that you cannot control. And oftentimes, you are focusing on things you can't control while ignoring what you can control, which makes sense because you're exhausted. So if all the focus is going on things you can't control, you don't have that extra energy to actually do something about the things that you have within your agency to maybe do. You're not being present. Okay. So that's thinking about the past or projecting into the future. You're taking on someone else's baggage as your own. This is a tricky one. We'll talk through more specifically how to do this in a couple of slides. That might make you think of the grievance one, right? When somebody calls you and is bitching about another person, and you're like an empathetic person, you like really feel for them. That's giving away your energy. Okay. It's giving away your energy. And by the way, you're ignoring and not honoring your energy as well. So you're not checking in with yourself, or you are aware that you're giving away your energy and you're not doing anything about it. I'm going to help you out in just a slide. So I don't mean to keep calling us out and making us more anxious. And so far in these slides, I'm realizing that as my own nervous system is activated here, hearing myself. But the point is, in all of these themes, we tend to prioritize short-term satisfaction at the expense of our long-term energy. So here's what I mean by that. In the moment, we try to placate somebody else. That is short-term satisfaction. Because when I placate you, I'm placating my fear that you won't like me. But that is at the expense of a long-term energy issue, okay? That's just one example. And we really want to move out of reaction mode. So I think that was really great. Yeah, Alana had said I was very reactive. Yes, that's true. Reactive, which is surviving. And we talked about this in our last Sunday session, right? So get out of your way. Remember this hub, the spokes, right? So we have the capacity on the inside of us to be intentional in how we engage with the world. That's a calm, clear, aware, open, peaceful, right? But most of us, because of how we're wired, it's not our fault, it's how we're wired and it's how we're socialized. We tend to be more with what we're thinking or feeling or our perception of what we're experiencing or how our body is. And oh gosh, now we're just in this reaction mode. No wonder we don't have energy. So how do we protect and recover? By the way, something I didn't mention at the very beginning of today in the overview of our session, I only gave you the overview of what I was going to share, but once I'm done, we're going to do breakouts with prompts, as always, if you've come to previous sessions. So don't worry, you're not going to have to hear me drone on for too much longer. You can hear each other drone on. Okay, how to protect and recover. There's a lot of information I'm going to give you here. So good news, we have a recording. So here's what you do. You wake up at 2:13 in the morning and you're pissed at yourself. And I have done every single one of these, so I can tell you they work. I want you to accept the situation immediately. So catch yourself. I'm pissed. Take a deep breath and just say, what's the upside of being awake right now? You have to find the upside. This isn't a toxic positivity thing, because by the way, I don't think you should always try to look for the upside. But in this situation, you can say, hey, everybody's quiet, and this is a great time to do some meditating. Or this is the time I'm going to look at my phone and read the paper because I don't have time the rest of the day. Or this is when I'm going to brainstorm ideas, or I'm going to do some stretching. Again, I love it because I feel like it's a little bit of a vacation from my quote real life, right? My kids aren't yelling for me. The community is not yelling at me on customer service. It's like kind of this lovely, peaceful time. So see if you can accept the situation, accept your feelings about it. By the way, if you are pissed, go, okay, I understand I'm pissed. And here's the upside of being awake at this hour. I'm late. I'm rushing through the morning. Okay. How we start the day, I think, really sets the tone for the rest of the day. It'll be a lot harder for us to recover that lost energy if this is the way we begin. So again, if you're rushing, okay, that's fine. But please, 60 seconds of non-negotiable self-check-in. It's just 60 seconds where you step outside or into the sunshine, if you can find it, and you say, mommy's got to put her cell phone, her alarm on or whatever. Breathe for 60 seconds, set the tone. And what's really wild is you could have 60 minutes of chaos, but those 60 seconds are going to help safeguard you during the rest of those 60 minutes. Okay. Like you're going to take with you that wonderful feeling. It's almost like giving yourself a hug for 60 seconds. That will last a lot longer than 60 seconds. It's like putting money in the bank, right? And it's going to collect interest over time. So you're annoyed that you're sitting in traffic. This is a little bit similar to the waking up at 2:13 in the morning and being pissed. We've got to accept this is the situation. So whenever you are, I don't know, in traffic, standing in line, okay, you're annoyed by other people or the fact that you, I don't know, you're wasting time. At this point, you're just choosing to waste time because you could always be doing something for you, for your energy. So I'm going to teach you an exercise that I call the gold molten lava exercise. If you've come to my classes in the past, I talk a lot about this. It's so good. It's so simple, by the way, but it is so good. There is a person in my community who literally changed her last name to Gold because this works. So first, you get a little centered. Breathe. Okay. I want you to imagine that there is gold molten lava that is just pouring over the top of your head, and it is coating the rest of your body all the way to your feet. It's like a paint, okay? And it's just coating your body, coating. You also have to be a little bit active here too. So you have to think, okay, is the paint getting into every single crevice of my arm, the crook of my arm, or behind my ankles, or really just make sure you have fully coated your body in this kind of gold warm paint. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're driving in traffic, I don't want you to do this with your eyes shut, but I used to do this every morning on the subway when I was going to work, when I lived in New York. And something I really love about this exercise is it was an intentional way. Yeah, and that's it, by the way. That's the exercise. Very quick. Try to extend it as long as you can. But what I loved about this exercise is as I was doing it, I was saying to myself, this is my armor for the day. Whatever chaos I encounter, and by the way, expect the unexpected, right? There's definitely going to be chaos. I have some kind of barrier that I have intentionally created to protect myself from external chaos so that it does not come to the internal. And by the way, this is not like a Teflon shield, right? This is not a armor like a war shield, right? No, it is a gold paint. It is malleable, right? Because I also want to be a deeply empathetic, feeling connected person. So if I went through life with this kind of metal armor on, then I could never be warm with people, right? So it's finding that third way, that alternative way where you can protect yourself, but also be open to connecting with others, right? So I think this is an exercise. It helps both with kind of meditation practices of deep breathing, being in the moment, fully focused, but also it does set the intention for how you want to treat your energy throughout the day, okay? But you get to work, the chaos begins, overflowing inbox. Okay. So our first session was our first session was set better goals. And I think I talked about prioritization. I think I did. Can't remember. It's something that I talk a lot about with the to done tracker, which I'm going to be showing you all in a couple of slides. To me, a primary priority is something that when you do it, it helps make the rest of your to-do list easier to get done. I think that if your inbox is constantly bothering you, that is a constant energy leech, and you need to make it a primary priority, meaning even if you have a whole bunch of other things to do, this is like a rock in your shoe. You can't run fast if you have a rock in your shoe. So I actually think you should be dedicating some time. You're not going to have to do this for that long, by the way. So maybe it's just one day in the morning before you get into anything else. Really come up with a good inbox strategy for how to deal with your emails. Here's a quick example. Do not have a tab open with your inbox because every time that you get that ping of the inbox, your energy, first of all, your nervous system gets spiked. You're like, oh gosh, yeah, anxiety, consciously or subconsciously. And that's wasting energy. So maybe only check your email 2-3 times a day. If that makes you nervous, because you're like, people need me. They don't always need us as much as we like to think, by the way. How about we set some expectations through an away message? Hey, I checked my email between this hour and this hour, or just something that lets them know that they will hear a response from you, but it will not be immediate. By the way, this is a wonderful example to set. to other people, okay? Because they are also similarly probably feeling like they need to be immediate responders. And when they see your away message setting that expectation, they're going to go, well, wait, hold on. Now I have permission to do the same. So don't just do it for you, do it to inspire somebody else. But you do get an email. It's an important email from a client, and it does send you into panic mode. I mentioned this in last session, I think, and it's worth mentioning again. I really like this framework of control, impact, and then let go. So if you are in an experience where it's triggering you in some way, so this is a good example, email from a client sending you into panic mode, but you can really do it in a lot of different scenarios here. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Based on the situation, what can I control? So what's the next step that is completely within my domain to do? Number 2, what can I impact? So maybe there's nothing you can really do, but you could go talk to somebody that might help the situation, or it might help you, right? Like you're not going to be the be all end all of what's happening here, but there is something you can do. Okay. And then letting go. That usually means if you can't control it, you can't impact it or influence it, you have to learn to let go of it. That's going to take practice. So it's not just let go. Oh, let go. Oh, no, you're too smart for that. You're going to be fighting it. So ways to practice it, it's like building a muscle, right? And so what do we do to build muscles? We have to exercise. So I encourage you to find an exercise that helps you practice the art of letting go. And one exercise that has worked for me is what I call the energy tank exercise. And you, by the way, could go get literally a picture of an energy tank or just visualize it in your mind. You can do this at the start of the day as well. When you say, I'm rushing, and you're already giving away your energy at the beginning of the day, setting the tone for the day, picture this tank, okay? So the car, the tank, and it is filled with gas at the beginning of the day. And as you go throughout all of these experiences, the energy tank is going down, down. Now, maybe it's going up too because you're doing some things like moving your body or practicing these exercises, right? Don't worry, you could get it back, but in the moment, it's just going down. Here's what I want you to do though. Ask yourself, based on the situation, what is a reasonable amount of gas to spend on it? It's not denying your feelings about it. It's never denying it because that's like the bouncing ball in the top of the pool. You push it down and it comes back up. So you say, this is shitty. I don't like the client is unhappy. Something's happened here, whether it was your fault or not, whatever. Like we're going to focus on a next step here. But you have to decide of this gas tank, knowing that it is not infinite. It'll mostly just go down throughout the day. And I used to do this with numbers. So I used to literally say to myself, on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, how much energy do I think that this situation is worthy of giving? Remember, it's you. You are giving this energy away. So this client is saying, I want to take your energy, or fill in the blank. It doesn't have to be the client. It could be a person, the colleague or the boss or your parent. They're going, I want to take that energy from you. But you then decide, okay, they want to take a 10 from me. Maybe I'll give them 5. I'll give them 5 because this is a shitty situation, right? This is going to help you. It truly will. Might sound a little silly in the moment here, but I found it to be a game changer in my life. You're in this meeting though. Oh, you're feeling the self-doubt. You're like, I don't know. Like I was going to go for promotion. I'm not really sure. Okay. Always note the environment. Is something or somebody making you feel this way? Of course, you then have to decide, is this how you want to be? So no one can make you truly do anything. But I oftentimes think that as women, we first point fingers at ourselves. We go, what did I do wrong here? It's a beautiful quality that we have, but it's also a dangerous one. So before we go, ooh, I must not be good enough for this promotion, let's just check and see, are we in a culture, work culture or whatever it is, a family culture, okay, that is making us, I don't want to say making us feel less than, but setting us up to feel less than. Because what they reward is whatever. Whoever's the loudest gets the reward, okay? And that might just not be you. And you're also pretzeling yourself to become a different person. Talk about energy leeching. That's a huge one. Imposter syndrome is obviously a much longer conversation we don't have fully time for today, but let me tell you 2 ways to safeguard against this energy leech of being in an environment that is just grating on you or making you pretzel into somebody you're not really. So I find having a little secret project at home is fun. So this could be everything from your crocheting a thing, a book club. By the way, when I say secret project, it doesn't have to be secret at all, but a thing that's just for you and it's for your joy, it's for your pleasure, it's for connection. For me, I'm writing a book. And by the way, I also have a screenplay because when I'm writing my book, I like to think of the screenplay. It's because it's a project that doesn't matter almost. I don't have a boss for it. It's not really public. No one really knows about it. It's truly just me getting to exercise this skill that I have with no judgment from others. Okay. And so when I'm in an environment that I'm a little bit out of body, oh, I'm not very good at this, there's this fun thing that I know I have at home. And so when I'm in that other kind of environment, I remind myself, Claire, when you go home, you're going to be writing your screenplay and be happy. The other thing that I do is I wash my hands after. So, by the way, I do this in a lot of experiences. It doesn't just have to be one in which you feel bad. It could be one in which that just takes energy, right? I'll go afterwards and I'll go very methodically wash my hands, and I am washing the experience off and the energy off. This is also really good to do after you engage with somebody else who you don't want their energy. I don't know. Again, they're in a shitty situation, or there's just people you're like, that's not it. I don't want it. And you might intellectually tell yourself this, but I really find unless you are involving your body, it's not going to set in and last and really change things for you in the same way. So that washing of the hands, it's similar to the gold molten lava exercise in terms of this is a self-protection. This is a release. You're in the back-to-back meetings and phone calls. Please, if you don't already do this, it's going to help you a lot. Add in buffer time to your calendar. So whenever you have phone calls, whatever it is, because phone calls count too as meetings, guys, right? That's an energy giver. Put, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes just out of office or just something on your calendar before and after that phone call or meeting, okay? And do not let people schedule because also things always run over, by the way. Scrolling social media in between. Okay, I don't know. Listen, if that's short term, that's making you feel like you have some sort of release or recovery, maybe, but I think you might find it better. You might feel more in charge of your day and your energy if you just have designated social time. Okay, so you say, all right, every day I think that 1 hour, and by the way, it's not just 1 hour in one sitting. It might be overall 1 hour in a given day is what feels correct to me and what I want to give to social media. So maybe you decide in between meetings, yeah, you'll be on social media and you'll set a 5 minute alarm and then you have your countdown from your 60 minutes or whatever. But just make sure it's not a thing you're doing like a zombie, okay? Or if you don't want to do social media in between meetings and you need a release and relief, body, right? So doing something with your body, so stretching or any, again, this doesn't require you to go take a big vacation, a hiking vacation. It's small things consistently over the day. You say yes to a colleague, immediately regret it. So this is a boundaries conversation, which I'm going more in depth in this week's newsletter. So the best thing you could do when you are saying no to somebody else, and some people will say to you, no is a complete sentence, and that is true, but it doesn't always feel good to do that. And I think as women, we could be penalized for saying no because we are socialized to be accommodating. So here's what I suggest. Whenever you say no to somebody, do it in a way that offers solutions. Okay. Hey, I can't do this. Oh, and by the way, if you're able to say, it's not possible for me to give you the attention that you need, meaning it is in your best interest for me not to do this because you really need somebody to sit down and have a lot of energy and focus for this. And I literally cannot do that. And you deserve better. Here's an alternative solution, right? I could do for 15 minutes, I could take a look and offer suggestions. Or if you can't do that, whatever, come up with at least one, maybe two other solutions so that they don't feel trapped. Okay. And you can still feel good about saying no. And you also have to accept that however they react to you, that's on them. So if they feel a certain way, remember when I said nobody can make you feel anything, right? That's true. They can trigger those feelings. The same thing in the reverse. When you are saying no to this person and they get up in arms about it, maybe, I don't know, they didn't prioritize their work properly and they're in a fucked situation. That ain't your fault. So you also have to accept that whatever happens, that doesn't mean it's your fault because that's the way that they are reacting. Okay. Boss changes their mind again. Oh God. And now you're like, what am I doing? I'm all the things. I have to do all of it. Confirm what's being deprioritized and put it in writing. So I used to do this with an old boss who would change his ideas constantly. I'd say, great, Based on our previous conversation, we were going to focus on X in order to achieve Y. Now you're asking me to do Z. I'm approximating that it'll take this amount of time to confirm deadlines, knowing that this is what I'm focusing on. Are we on the same page that this other thing that we talked about is not happening for the next few days or whatever it is? Put it in your own words. But the point is, this is a bit similar to my earlier suggestion of offering alternative solutions. Instead of just being a yes or a no person, you give options and you basically show people the real consequences. I don't mean it to sound so dramatic, but the real consequences to their choices. You choose to change ideas. You choose to add more to our plate. Again, we can go into more detail, and I do this in the newsletter, but it's not just saying yes. It's not just saying no. It's saying, okay, and here's the plan. Are we on the same page with what is being deprioritized? But you get that call to pick up your son early. Oh, it throws a wrench in your day. Okay, this is also a little bit similar to having resistance. Yes, you can have a feeling about it. You wish it didn't happen, and it is happening. You accept it. Let's expect the unexpected. You have some feelings about it, and you're like, and this is what I'm an elite athlete in life, and this is somebody I'm being tackled right now. I don't know why I'm doing all these sports metaphors. I don't watch sports. This is life tackling you. All right, great. Bring it on, because now it's an opportunity to work on not giving my energy away. This mom guilt trip you about not volunteering at the school. Oh my gosh. All right. By the way, this is a reflection of her. She may have her own thoughts and feelings about what it means to be a good mother and feeling guilty about other things. Okay. Nice. No, Mila's going, lately, I'm just straight out saying I don't have the bandwidth. That's also fine. I always want to give people options for how you might want to respond to something, because that might not work for everybody. But I also admire that. So this mom is guilt tripping you. All right. But this is a reflection of her, what she's going through. However, it is triggering something in you. So I like to just note it and come back. Okay. So you're saying to yourself, all right, I am feeling guilty about not volunteering. I don't have time right now I'm not going to dig into this. This is not the time and place, your energy gauge. I'm not going to give more than one little unit of energy to it. However, I'm going to keep feeling this way, at least subconsciously. Clearly, it's going to continue to energy leach for me. So in my journal, I'm going to say, okay, come back to why did this woman trigger me? Okay. And by the way, this is talking about guilt, because I think guilt is such an energy leech, but we really have to protect against it. If you have designed your life around your goals, which we did in the first session, you have to own your choices, right? And it doesn't mean you can't change them. I encourage you every quarter, look at it and go, is this still what I want to work towards? Is this still how I want to allocate my time and my reactions? And if you've said, hey, I'm going to be spending in this quarter or this season of my life, and I look at seasons like 1 to 3 years, I am spending a lot of time at work and very little time with my volunteering at the school. I don't love that, but I made that choice and I'm going to own it. Now you don't have to indulge any kind of guilt. By the way, that doesn't mean you won't feel it every now and then. You're still human, but now you can engage with the guilt in a productive way where you're able to recover much quicker and not have it stew. Your mother calls, but talk about guilt. Your mother calls you. Oh, there's a grievance with so-and-so in the family. This is her baggage. You can choose not to carry it. You can choose not to carry it. You can just remember that line, write it down. This is your baggage, or this is her baggage. You can choose not to carry it. Now, you have a couple of options for how you want to deal with this, of course. You could tell her how it makes you feel. Hey, by the way, when you talk a lot of shit about our cousin, I feel really uncomfortable. I've said this before, by the way. You're burdening me with your anxiety, right? They get defensive though, or you can expect that they'll get defensive. So similarly to my boundaries suggestion, you could offer an alternative way to express it. Hey, I know you need to vent. It makes me stressed, or like it does. I have some feelings about it. So just let you know, I could probably entertain this conversation for about 5 minutes. I totally hear you. I validate you. It does bring up some stuff for me. Okay. Or you could learn to not let it bother you. Like, that's where I'm at now. All right. Say nothing and just gold lava yourself. Do the gold molten lava exercise, or just really look at the person like, if they had therapy, they'd be doing a lot better. It's just not on you. You just don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. Don't take the baggage. You go home, you grab whatever food you can. It's pasta again. It's a lot of sugar. I love my sugar. As somebody who had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant, I learned something really great. If you could try to get your sugar to protein ratio approximately equal, you are going to up that energy, okay? Because you're going to stabilize your blood sugar. Add protein where you can. So yeah, you ate that pasta, which by the way, if you are eating, quote, bad things, at least slow down and savor it. Hell yeah, I get my McDonald's. Just savor the taste. And then go and eat some, I don't know, yogurt or cottage cheese or whatever. Just quickly add on some protein however you can. That will balance it out. Yeah, snap at your partner. Deep breath. Apologize. So it's just about recovery, okay? Right now, we don't have time to get into couples therapy and how to be less reactive. So, how about this? Just don't pile on, don't make it worse. Just see if you can recover relatively gracefully, both with yourself and your partner after this snapping happens, okay? When you realize that your shoulders have been up to your ears all day, how about we make it easier on ourselves and set alarms for body check ins, right? So every hour or every 3 hours, again, 60 seconds, doing a body scan or something that just gets us closer to that mind body connection, you will protect your energy. By the way, if you're really thirsty, get a massive water bottle. I'm going to take a drink right now that has the times on it because I realized I wasn't drinking enough. Why? I didn't have water in front of me. I had to get up and get it every time. My whole thing is, can we make life easier? Yes. R&R scheduled. So to me, that is rest and rejuvenation. So identify activities that you can do consistently, easily, one that gives you rest and one that rejuvenates you. So rest would be something obviously calming. Rejuvenation to me is more like a, I hate to use this word, but like an upper, right? So like jumping jacks, it to me is rejuvenation and resting is lying down. If you can do these a little bit every day, please put them in your calendar and protect that with your life because why? It is your life. No time to work out again. You swear you'll do 60 minutes tomorrow. Why are we, putting this pressure on ourselves? 20 minutes. By the way, if you have to go somewhere to do the exercise, you're also spending energy commuting. Maybe that class gives you life. Please do it then. But for those of us who just never really can get our butts there, just see what activity you can do to move your body for 20 minutes, okay? Make it easier for yourself. Put your workout clothes by the door. Last two ones before I get into the final part of today. Scrolling too long, comparing ourselves to others. Maybe let's replace it with something else because clearly when you're on social media, you're obviously trying to relax. Good. What else could we do to relax ourselves if not with social media? And by the way, with social, we don't stand a chance. The algorithm is designed to make us addicted. So why spend extra energy fighting? Literally, some of the smartest people have made these social media. So I don't fight it, just don't use it. But you do need to replace it with something else. Or, by the way, you could use the social media and just have it be within the amount of time that you said, okay, in a given day, this is what I choose to give to it. Put your phone outside of your room, right? Again, make it easier for yourself. Unfollow the people. Just again, we could do some deep therapy work here and continue to follow them, or we could just click unfollow. And by the way, if you are comparing yourself with somebody else, use it as a teachable moment for yourself. So clearly you want something that you perceive that they have. You perceive, that's very important because it doesn't mean that they actually do, but they are presenting themselves in a way that you go, ooh, I wish my life was like that, or I want something like that. You know what? That's instructive. So, what is that core thing that you want? Okay, that desire, and just find that one small action you can take towards getting that core desire and then unfollow them. You're up at 2:13 in the morning thinking about that boss. Okay. Thank your wiring for trying to protect you, right? Because you're worried with your boss. You want to make sure you keep your job. Like this is your body doing its job. But to be in the present, right? What's one action we can take? Maybe we're not going to send that email right now or have the phone call call the meeting or whatever, but you've got to get out of thinking and now into doing. And I do find sometimes it can be incredibly helpful to just literally write down all the things I'm going to do. And I don't find that stressful for me, like just getting it out of my head. It's critical in all of this that you have some kind of self-reflection routine. These are some of my favorite questions. Where did I gain my energy today? How can I do more of that? If I got in my way, assuming it happens again, how can I make things easier for myself? If someone or something else got in my way, what's in my control or influence moving forward? Do more of, do less of, patterns I noticed about myself. Monthly on a scale of 1 to 5, how do I rank my energy? What's one thing I can sustainably do to increase it? Do I need support? And if so, how will I get it, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. This is part of listening to and honoring our energy. So everything I've shared with you has worked for me and many of my clients, but you really have to find and sustain the energy plan that is going to best honor how you operate and how you want to operate. By the way, all those questions are part of the To Done tracker. It's $12 and I'll have a link in the follow-up email. It's also included for free in the annual subscription to my weekly newsletter. But here's the thing, it's not easy to do this stuff. So I want to make sure that you notice and celebrate your progress along the way. So even just observing the energy leeches, like I said in the beginning, that counts. So really think now, how am I going to celebrate my progress? And the reason this stuff is hard is A, we're not wired to make change because change is unknown and the familiar feels safe. And also, as women, a lot of us define our self-worth through what we give. I just don't think that giving to others has to be mutually exclusive with giving to ourselves, that this kind of binary view of the world, more for me is less for you. No, more for me does not have to mean less for you. So here are 3 critical skills to build your force field. Of course, I am totally out of time because in the last 10 minutes, I want to do our breakouts. So let me just, I'm just going to just go right through this. So basically, my son had a massive medical crisis. He was on life support after he was born. And I'm going to go into way more of this stuff in the next session. But I feel like I reached another level of learning how to protect my energy because I had twins, right? And so we had this one healthy child at home and then one in the hospital for months. So we had to really figure out how to do all of this, right? And not totally lose our minds. And I genuinely feel like I didn't master it, but I did unlock a lot of lessons here. And these were the 3 major, I'm not going to just say lessons, I'm going to say skills because it does require you to build them and to practice them. And truly, it was these 3. So out of everything I've shared to you today, I hope you do implement them. But if you need to focus on any 3, these are the ones, because this will give you back your energy and protect you from losing more of it. So really tuning into and honoring your own energy and with no judgment. When I couldn't go visit him in the hospital because it was too devastating for me, I said, that's okay. I did not feel guilty about it because I looked at this like playing the long game. The long game. I have to, I'm being a mother, it's a marathon. Being a human being, it's a marathon. Being a business owner is a marathon. So I'm going to say no to visiting him and because it's destroying me to see him this way. And I'm not going to feel guilty because this is a long-term investment. I also stopped resisting the situation. I stopped saying, I wish this wasn't happening to us. What a fucking waste. It was happening. Okay, this was our new life, and I was broken because of it. That wasn't a waste of energy, feeling those feelings. It was the narrative of, I wish this wasn't happening. I learned how to quiet that. I'll talk more about this in our last session. And then letting the love in. There were so many people giving so much to us, from the doctors and nurses to our community to people on social media. And it's one thing to just say that yeah, I feel the love. Do you really feel the love? And you might have to develop a practice of what it is to let yourself physically, chemically feel love. And my mom said this beautiful quote to me, which was, you're like a flower in the rain, soaking up every drop in order to grow. And the rain was life, right? That was the devastation. It was our tears. These were not happy things, which brings me back to what makes, quote, good energy. I think good energy is the back and forth with all of the other energies in the universe. So people, of course, and if you're a bit woo like me, it's definitely animals and it's certainly nature, because who among us does not feel a recharge from going into the forest or looking at an ocean? By the way, there's research that shows you don't have to see, right now I actually do see an ocean. You could look at a picture and it does give you benefit. Okay. And then what's happening in nature, right? Why do we feel better in nature, right? What is the exchange of energies in nature? And it's this, it's constant growth. It's the cycle of regeneration. What is happening in nature? Birth and death. Things are constantly, now let's not get us into climate change and get very depressed about it, but things are constantly dying and growing. You feel that energy subconsciously when you are in nature. And that gets me into our final session, which is next Sunday. So January 26th, how to transform challenges into opportunities. I'm going to be really talking about this cycle of regeneration, the cycle of constant growth. How can you take devastation or difficulties and find the gold? Okay. And this is also the theme of many of my, I was going to say episodes, but issues of really good work advice, which is $8 a month or less, because I'm giving you all a big discount for being part of these sessions. And it's that constant growth, right? How do we do it in a gradual way? How do we have breakthroughs without breakdowns is my mission. And on that theme, let's talk about breakout. So we're going to go a little bit over today. I hope that's okay with those who can stay. I'm going to put you into groups of 2 people for about 8 minutes or so, or 10 minutes maybe, and then we'll come back and have a little bit conversation. So what are your current biggest energy leeches, right? So maybe 1 that you can think of, but up to 3. based off of those biggest energy leeches. So where are you giving your energy away, or people trying to take it? And you then say, okay, here's my energy. What is one action step that you can take? Just one, and one that you can do now or tomorrow. But, and this is if you have time, what might be standing in your way of taking that action step? And so what can you do to address it or make it easier on yourself? And if you have time, which you won't, but maybe you will, is in general, what do you need more of in your life? What do you need less of when it comes to protecting your energy? So I am going to put us all into breakout groups now. Again, if you need to hop out, all good. You're going to get the recording. And if you are a subscriber to Really Good Work Advice, you actually get the slides too. Yay. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause the recording real quick. Okay. You know, we're going to share. We're going to share that again, breakouts. We're going to pause. Recording in progress. Welcome back. Probably not enough time, but that's because I mismanaged my time. So I decided last minute to change this presentation and organize it by what we experienced throughout the day and then give my suggestions as opposed to another way I was going to do it. So I appreciate y'all being experimental with me. Okay. So I know we're over time, and you're probably going to see maybe see some babies coming through the background. But I'd love to stick around for at least another 5 minutes or so. If anyone wants to share in their breakout or maybe during the presentation, if any kind of aha moment, what did it trigger for you? Hopefully in a good way. Any changes in either how you're seeing things or doing things, or maybe it just solidified, good practices you've already thought about, or anything else you want to share, or if you were in a breakout with somebody and you felt really inspired by them and you want to give them a shout out, I welcome you to the proverbial stage. And if there's any pressing questions, I always like to do just a teeny bit of live coaching, even though we don't have much time now. I'm here again as you need for the next couple of minutes. And of course, we can talk offline as well. So I encourage anyone, whoever wants to jump up or just put in the chat. I will take a look. Okay.
Oh, I'll go. Cynthia and I were talking, and I was saying that my big energy leech is my mom, caregiving, and it's interesting because first of all, I already had kind of decided that I needed to, because I'm the one of my siblings that doesn't have a traditional job.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just end up doing all the things that are during the day. She has a ton of doctor appointments. Like there's always something, right? And I started to be like, why am I just signing up for this? So I already had started like just asking or sometimes telling my siblings, like, one of you take this? When are you coming to do that? And just, not being a martyr to it and not feeling bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got COVID, as you know, Claire, for my first time because of my mom being so careful for almost 5 years. I'm so aggravated. I didn't make it to the 5-year mark. Like, anyway, but I couldn't do the things like I couldn't. There was more than a week, like I couldn't do. And you know what? Things happened and things got taken care of, and my mom got helped when she needed it. And so that just kind of really doubled down on I do not have to be the person here. Like we can share the load a little bit differently, and the world doesn't fall apart.
I think that's such a great lesson to learn. See, that goes to prove that when crappy things happen, like, I don't know, getting sick or whatever, look at that lesson you learned. It allowed other people to step up, is what it seemed. And it reminded me of something that my wife does with me or has done that really helped both preserve her energy and our relationship. And I think this is similar to what you're experiencing with caregiving. So obviously we're caregiving with our kids and our son who's ill, and she will notice when there's something going on that's not going to work for her. Like, hey, you are spending more time at work. Like the hours you're spending at work is now detracting from the hours that you're like cleaning the house later. We got to figure out a solution to this. She'll tell me this before she's reached a point of resentment. So that's huge, right? So first of all, that's preventing her from getting really angry, which, as we've talked about, all of these emotions, again, honor them. They're all real, but let's not fester because then that leaches our energy. So she catches it. Now she's not so angry at me. Great. And it also allows me to come up with solutions with her, right? So she'll say, hey, like this balance isn't quite right. And I say to her, well, okay, just so you know, if I'm now cleaning, I'm not going to get into bed till 8 p.m. So that's going to take time away from our time, right? Are you cool with that? And then we have this productive conversation that doesn't feel like it's back up against the wall, like it's this or that. It's like, no, this is where I'm feeling. I'm giving you a heads up. I'll let you think about what would work best for you. And then you tell me. And then where's the sacrifice on both of our ends? So I feel like there could be a lot of runway in how you work on this moving forward with your siblings, right? Like this is the or these are the things I'm doing, X, Y, and Z. Here's where I'm running on fumes. It's not good for anybody here. Here's what I need help with. But I'm not going to dictate to you to how you need to help me because I don't live your life. So based off of what I presented to you, what do you think are your best solutions? It's really diplomacy, right? It's like we got to find a solution. And I want to say that it works for everyone, but it also kind of doesn't always work for everyone too, right? Like a compromise doesn't mean everyone's happy, but it does mean that everybody has to sacrifice something. Okay. And if it's not an equal sacrifice in that moment or in that situation, that's okay. I think we then have to look at, all right, holistic, right? In a given quarter, in a given year, right? That it's not ongoing. So yes, in this season, I am taking on more, but to not let that determine the rest of the working relationship. And even though you were talking about family, I think this totally extends to, like I said, working relationships, right? Like the ones that you have with your boss. And even when there's power dynamics there, which by the way, there totally are in families, there's power dynamics as well. You might not be scared of losing your job, but listen, losing love. I mean, that's even deeper, right? So I wish we had more time to go more into this. This is why I really encourage you all. Really good work advice. Come and join me. I know that you're a member because every month and more if we want, but every month we're going to do this kind of thing. We're going to do a lesson. We're going to talk about whatever the biggest things were for that month for everybody here. We want to do coaching around it. We want to do structured lessons. We want to do scripts. I want to be able to give you all, the exact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take what you will from it, but that nobody walks away from here feeling like, great in theory, how do I do it? I hope I've been able to present you with that, the action, and then the momentum and the motivation to get the momentum moving. Love a good alliteration. On that note, I think it is at time. I feel terrible that, you know what? I don't feel terrible because that's a waste of energy. I learned a lesson. I will now know how to do this in 60 minutes next time. So thank you for being part of my extended version today. Really appreciate you all. Hope you can come to the last session on transforming challenges into opportunities. I can't say it's my favorite because I like each one individually, but it is the one that is most meaningful, personally meaningful to me, because I'll be talking to you a lot about things that have happened in my life, what I did, and how that applies to you. All right. Great session. Good. Thank you so very much. I'll send you the recording, including a version as a podcast for those who want to listen. So maybe you can be, exercising, moving your body, going for that walk. Much love to you all. You got this.